Hi, everybody. Good morning. I'm Bob Hoffman, a Maryknoll missionary priest. I've worked in Peru for 56 years now, and I'm here this morning to share with you answering this question: what three values have I learned in my mission life? So I'm going to name the three values. First one is that people generally that I've met in Peru want respect more than anything else. The second one is that people very often place, in fact always almost, they place the value of friendships, the value of people before time. And third, the same way they put people before the value of money. So the first one, people want respect more than anything else. When I went to Peru, I was going as a missionary. I thought I was going to take a lot of catechism and preaching things there. And those are important still for me. But what I noticed is that if I respect them, if I call a man who's the father of a family Senor or Mr., as we would say in English, instead of just John or Henry or whatever his name is, they appreciate that. Their children notice that I'm respecting them. They themselves feel this respect, and it's a big help in getting to know and to be able to work with people in a successful way. The second value that I've learned is that people put friendship and family before money. For example, one of the Maryknoll sisters that I worked with, she was making curtains for her convent and the other sisters there. And she went to the marketplace where the women sit around with the things they have to sell. And she went up to one of the ladies she knew, and she knew that she sold material for drapes, and that's what the sister was after. And the lady asked her, "Okay, sister, now what color do you want?" And she said, "Gold." And she said, "Okay, and how much do you want?" And she said, "Well, I'd like to have 7 yards." And the lady said, "Oh no, father, oh no, sister, I can't sell you that much at one time. And so I can't sell you that much. I can give you 4 yards. That's all I can sell you." And sister said, "Well, okay, I'll buy the 4 yards and I'll come tomorrow then too." And she said, "Fine, if that's what you want to do, we can do that." And the third thing that I mentioned was time. When I first arrived in Peru, I would go to the parish and we would have meetings, sometimes of the parish council, sometimes of women's groups or catechists with the men and things like that. And then when we finished that meeting, we'd say, "Okay, when's the next meeting?" And they'd say the day that was convenient for all of them. And I'd say, "Well, how about if we start at 8 o'clock? We started a little bit late today." And they would say, "Sure, okay, 8 o'clock, we'll be there." And so they would say goodbye and leave in groups mostly, because they were such good friends at the same time. And then the next meeting, I would be there at 8 o'clock, and there'd only be 3 or 4 people there. And I'd say, "Well, where are the rest?" "Oh, they're on their way, Father. They'll be right here right very soon." So I'd be waiting and watching my clock, and at 8:25, there would be maybe 6 people now instead of the 20 that usually come. And I said, "Well, can we start now? What do you think?" And maybe the rest aren't coming. And they said, "Oh no, they're coming, Father. Don't start yet." No, we want to wait so they'll be here and be able to participate in the whole Mass, in the whole meeting. And that'll make it much better for all of us. So I'd wait, and maybe 30 would come, and a few more would come. And maybe at 8:45 all 20 of them would be there, and they'd be very happy, and nobody had apologized for coming late or anything like that. Well, then I talked to the priest who had been there for many years when I arrived, and I said, how do you deal with that? He said, oh, well, you can just live with it. He said, that's the way they are. They say they'll come at 8 and they mean it, but then something comes up at home and that has priority because that's the family. And so it's very interesting to see that. It's very frustrating for us missioners when we just get there, but then the other missioners who have been there for a while help us to understand that, and we then begin to live with that. And when people say they're coming at 8, we ourselves know they won't be there. They don't expect me to be there at 8 either. And so I go a little bit later, and that way I'm able to to live with them, to work with them, to be their friend and have their friendship. And all of that, the living and respecting friendship and people more than money, more than time, adds to our lives too, because people are much more important than time, much more important than money. And with a little bit of respect, you gain many friends, and that friendship is so important. Even as a missionary, it's more important many times than a sermon or a reflection that you might give them for their own spiritual life and things like that, because we're here as missioners, as Christians, baptized Christians, to have friends, to make friendship, and to share that friendship so that it becomes almost like a snowball. You know how a snowball, you put it on the hill and it rolls down and it gets larger and it goes faster and it gets down there. That becomes the foot part of the snowman. And then you put another snowball and that rolls down and gets larger and larger. And so that becomes the body of the snowman, and a little snowball going down becomes the head. And so that's the way we influence and are influenced by friendships in our lives. And that has helped me a great deal as a missioner and as a son in my family, as a brother in my family, in my friends that I come and visit every once in a while from Peru. And so I wanted to share that with you today. So thank you for your time. And we're still in the COVID pandemic, and so I will be praying for you and your families and your friends so that we can get through this pandemic soon and continue our lives as we're used to living in this wonderful country of ours. Thank you again.